Caste, the very word evokes images of a rigid social hierarchy, a system where one's destiny is predetermined at birth. In India, caste is deeply intertwined with the social fabric, shaping lives for millennia. It is a system of social stratification characterized by endogamy, hereditary transmission of occupation, and social mobility restrictions. At its core, caste is about power, about who holds it and who is denied it. Those at the top of the caste pyramid have historically enjoyed privilege and access, while those at the bottom have faced discrimination and disadvantage. This essay will delve into the complex world of caste, exploring its origins, its impact on Indian society, and the ongoing struggle for equality. It is important to note that while we primarily focus on the Indian caste system, similar hierarchical structures have existed in various parts of the world. The origins of the caste system in India can be traced back to ancient texts, including the Manusmriti and Arthashastra. The Manusmriti lays out a hierarchical social order with Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras. Brahmins, priests and scholars occupied the highest rung, followed by Kshatriyas, warriors and rulers. Vaishyas, merchants and traders, formed the third tier, while Shudras, laborers, were the lowest. The Arthashastra also reflects a stratified society, emphasizing social order based on caste. These texts highlight the historical roots of caste, linking it to purity, occupation, and social control. Interpretations and practices related to caste have evolved over time, shaped by various forces. The caste system's impact on Indian society has been profound, influencing marriage, occupation, and social interactions. For centuries, individuals were confined to roles and occupations associated with their caste. This rigid system created deep-seated inequalities and social divisions that continue to affect modern India. The Indian caste system is a well-known example of rigid social hierarchy, but it's not unique. Societies worldwide have developed their own forms of social stratification based on birth, occupation, or other traits. Feudal Japan had a rigid class system with samurai at the top and limited social mobility. Medieval Europe also had a hierarchical order, with clergy and nobility at the top. Understanding global social stratification offers insights into inequality and discrimination. Section 4, Caste's Enduring Legacy, Economic Exclusion and Colonial Exploitation. The caste system's impact extended far beyond social hierarchies, deeply influencing economic roles and opportunities. Historically, certain castes were relegated to occupations considered polluting or of lower social standing. Dalits, positioned at the bottom of the caste hierarchy, often faced severe discrimination and were forced into menial and degrading jobs. The British colonial administration, while initially seeking to understand and document Indian society, ultimately reinforced caste divisions through policies like the census and land tenure systems. The British codified caste identities, often solidifying existing inequalities. Colonial policies frequently favored certain castes over others, exacerbating existing power imbalances. The legacy of this historical economic exclusion and colonial exploitation continues to affect contemporary India. Despite efforts to dismantle the caste system, its impact can still be observed in occupational segregation, unequal access to education and employment opportunities, and persistent poverty and social marginalization among Dalit communities. Section 5, Caste in the Modern Era, Liberalization and Lingering Inequalities. Post-independence India witnessed a concerted effort to address the injustices of the caste system. Leaders like Jawaharlal Nehru championed policies aimed at uplifting Dalits and other disadvantaged communities. Affirmative action programs, known as reservations, were introduced to provide opportunities in education, government jobs, and political representation. However, the economic liberalization of the 1990s, while ushering in economic growth, also presented new challenges. As market forces took center stage, caste networks began to influence the private sector. Discrimination in hiring and promotions, often subtle and unspoken, persisted in various industries. Despite these hurdles, stories of Dalit entrepreneurship and success have emerged, challenging traditional barriers. Individuals like Milind Campbell founder of the Dalit Indian Chamber of Commerce and Industry, stand as beacons of hope, demonstrating that with determination and support, caste barriers can be overcome. Section 6. Breaking barriers towards a more equitable future. Addressing the deeply ingrained issue of caste requires a multi-pronged approach. Affirmative action while facing criticism remains a crucial tool for ensuring representation and social mobility. However, it needs to be complemented by efforts to promote Dalit entrepreneurship and economic empowerment. Education and technology emerge as powerful tools for dismantling caste barriers. Providing quality education to all, irrespective of the caste, can empower individuals to break free from traditional occupational structures. Furthermore, the rise of the digital economy presents new opportunities for Dalit entrepreneurs, enabling them to access markets and networks beyond traditional constraints. However, true change requires more than just policies and programs. It necessitates a fundamental shift in mindsets, a dismantling of prejudices that have persisted for generations. Promoting inter-caste dialogue, fostering empathy, and celebrating the achievements of individuals from all backgrounds are crucial steps towards creating a more inclusive and equitable society. Section 7. Conclusion: the unfinished journey to an egalitarian society. The caste system, with its long and complex history, continues to shape Indian society in profound ways. While significant strides have been made in dismantling this oppressive system, its legacy endures, manifesting in subtle and overt forms of discrimination. The journey towards an egalitarian society requires a sustained commitment to inclusive policies, economic empowerment, and, most importantly, a fundamental shift in mindsets. As India progresses into the 21st century, embracing its diversity and ensuring equal opportunities for all its citizens will be paramount in achieving its full potential. The fight against caste is not merely a fight for social justice. It is a fight for the very soul of India. It is a fight to create a society where every individual is valued for their worth, not their birth, and where the accident of caste no longer determines.
Welcome to this episode of Thread of Change. We here will dive deep into the intersection of history, society, and economy. I'm your host, and today we are going to dive into the topic that resonates with us even today: caste and social capital in the political ideologies and state policies shaping the business environment. Let us set the stage for a thought-provoking discussion by focusing on how caste hierarchies and social capital influence the economic participation and government.
Of course, in ancient India, the caste was not just a social structure but also a determinant of the economic roles. For instance, the Vaishyas were responsible for the trade and economic activities of the society, while the Shudras provided the labor. These divisions have also been mentioned in the ancient scripts like the Manusmritis and the Avyolas. If I'm not wrong, even the Brahmins had a specific role of giving advices to the rulers and shaping the policies. So these all indirectly shaped the environment of the business culture that existed in ancient India. Your thoughts?
Adding to that, caste wasn't just about reflections. It also created networks of trust and social capital. Merchant guides like the Manigramam and Ayole 500 operated within the caste boundaries, leveraging trust and to facilitate the long-term relationships. However, these networks often executed lower caste and limiting their economic opportunities.
The state played a crucial role in maintaining this system. Policies were designed to protect the interest of dominant castes, ensuring economic stability, but at the cost of social mobility. Now, for instance, tax exemptions for Brahmins and trade monopolies for merchant guilds were common practices during this period.
So if I'm not wrong, what I could gather from this discussion, this part, was the caste and the hierarchies were very much intertwined together, so that they were not only creating opportunities but also were creating barriers such as taxations, right? Let's dive deeper into Arthashastra. Mr. Sahu, how did it address the caste and what was its economic significance as respect to the governments of that time?
As we know, Arthashastra is a masterclass state art for economics of that era, right? So, Kautilya, one of the most prominent members in Indian history, actually categorized the importance of cultural-based business economics that aligns with the caste with the businesses that they do. So, coming forward, many categories like Vaishyas, and also Vaishyas were only allowed to do certain kind of work which was low, which we can say as a low category kind of work. But when it comes to labor intensive kind of works, then Sudras were the one who were doing it. And when we Shauryas are the one which were doing all the high class tendency kind of work, right? So like regarding work related, and businesses were only allowed to Vaishyas were only allowed to do business specifically. So I think so this alignment with the efficiency that they work with relating to the culture and the businesses domain that they preferred were very much straight, and there was no change in it, right? So I think so this is one of the factors that it is.
Another key aspect is taxation. The Arthashastra recommended progressive taxes on trade and land based on production levels, but the burden often fell disproportionately on lower castes who lacked political power to negotiate better terms.
It also recognized the role of social capital within caste-based networks. The state relied on guilds and caste groups to self-regulate trade, ensuring quality and compliance. However, this self-regulation often excluded marginalized groups, perpetuating economic inequality.
So, what we could gather was Arthashastra was both an economic prosperity item that was leveraged through the society, but it was also a reflection of the caste-based social disorder, right?
Sure.
Moving on, let's discuss how caste-based social capital influenced the India's international trade on a whole. Kushal, can you please shed some light on this?
So India's prominence in international trade was bolstered by the caste-based merchant guilds. These guilds, such as Ayavol 500, operated across regions and established trust-based networks. Their caste affiliations formed the base for these networks that they had established based on the accountability and the reliability with the partners of the foreign trades.
Yeah, I agree to that. However, these networks weren't entirely inclusive. Lower caste groups were often excluded from high value trade, relegated to menial jobs or local markets. This exclusion limited the potential for broader economic growth and innovation.
On the other hand, these networks enabled India to dominate global trade routes. Ports like Muziris, Tamraliptis became hubs for maritime trade, exporting spices, textiles, gems, and whatnot. The state supported these efforts through policies that protected trade routes and provided incentives to the merchant guilds over here.
Wow, it is so fascinating how these caste-based social capital both strengthened and also played a very significant role in India's economic growth in a global platform. Let's now discuss how the South India as a portion of the Deccan of India has shaped the religion and the trade dynamics.
So let's exemplify this integration of caste in trade. Their policies promoted maritime trade while ensuring that Brahmins and Vaishyas merchants retained economic privileges. This fostered growth but also entrenched caste hierarchies.
Most intriguing is how these dynamics sometimes led to tensions. Lower caste groups occasionally challenged the dominance of merchant guilds, leading to social and political conflicts. This resistance highlights the limitations of caste-based economic models.
So, the South India offers a complex picture of how the caste actually influenced both the economic prosperity, as you said, and the social transactions.
Sure.
as we near to the end of this discussion, let's reflect on the modern implications of the caste and the social capital in the economic policies. Ishita, what do you think are the lessons that we can draw from our political past of history and caste here?
Great. Sure, Anushka. I'll be now sharing my insights. The legacy of caste-based social capital reminds us of the economic systems that they must balance efficiency with inclusivity. Policies that favor one group over the others risk perpetuating inequality henceforth.
However, we must address the systematic barriers that caste continues to create. Affirmative policies and equitable access to resources are crucial for breaking these cycles.
Finally, the integration of ethical principles in economic policies, as seen in texts like Arthashastra, offers valuable lessons for sustainable development.
To build a truly inclusive economy, we must reimagine social capital as a tool for empowerment rather than exclusion. This requires a collective effort across policy, education, and businesses.
Thank you all for this enriching discussion. To our listeners, we hope this episode sparks new perspective on the intersection of caste, social capital, and economic policies. Until next time, stay curious and stay exploring.